This podcast features immature people talking about very mature content and is intended only for adult audiences. So we had that second bonus game was a tie. That first bonus game was just barely squeaked out by Maddox Campbell, who is going to read us our final story today to see if he can lock up the championship.
Sure. This is a written by myself, and it is concerning the Ghostbusters. It was a thick, hot, humid afternoon in New York City. Most of its citizens were firmly planted in front of their window AC units, or else hanging out into the soft breeze if they had none. But not Jillian Holtzman. Holtzman was in her lab bolting, screwing, welding amid the unshielded Tesla coils and unlicensed nuclear reactors. There was work to do. But it was still sweltering. She tugged on the zipper of her beige coveralls, made cover very littles, as it sneaked past her navel. Her nipples chafed against the zipper's teeth on both sides, and as she wiped her brow with her grease and oil-blackened hands, a rivulet of sweat trickled down the nape of her neck, tickling her as it went. She didn't mind the sensation. In fact, she enjoyed the chafing and tickling both. She was tempted to grab her most phallic wrench and postpone the work. But genius wasn't going to invent itself. Besides, all that was left was the field test. Gripping with both hands, she grabbed the power switch and pulled it down with a mighty groan. Lightning flashed and bolts arced throughout the workshop. After all, safety is for dudes. A sudden burst of force sent Holtzman sprawling, landing hard on top of a lab table. A quivering slit in the fabric of reality appeared, floating silently a foot off the ground. The tear opened enough for a man to step through, as if from out of nowhere. He stood over 6 feet tall and pole thin, dripping wet and wrapped around the waist in a too small towel. He must have just stepped out of the shower, but his voluminous hair still added another 4 inches to his height. Maybe I shouldn't just step through interdimensional rifts without getting my equipment first, Egon said, before noticing Holtzman, straddling the lab table as she picked herself up from the blast. Egon's eyebrows raised in concert with his penis. Then again, we'll see how this goes. The lights had all blown out from the power surge. They were lit only by the soft glow of the loose radium kept in the lab, and a Bunsen burner Holtzman had ignited to set the mood. She held it close to Egon and looked him over. "You're quite the specimen," she said, while biting her bottom lip. "What do you do for fun?" "I collect molds, spores, and fungus," he answered coolly. Hot. She placed her hands on his firm chest and ran her fingers down to the knot in the towel, leaving dark streaks of grease and oil as she went. "You're filthy," Egon remarked with a smile. "You haven't seen anything yet," she quipped as she tore the towel away to reveal his erect PK meter. She took it in her mouth, and Egon made the same weird face Ray did that one time that he got a blowjob from a ghost. He reached out, just hoping to grab something to steady himself. His hand happened to close around the familiar form of a proton pack. He made a quick adjustment to the switches and dials without looking, pushed Holtzman away from himself, and fired thrice. The concentrated beam of energized particles shot out, atomizing Holtzman's clothes without harming the supple body beneath. "Genius! I knew there had to be a faster way to undress," Holtzman exclaimed. She pulled him down to the hard concrete floor of the lab. They began their work, experimenting with every documented sexual position, and inventing at least one new one that is only possible with the use of industrial-grade clamps, 2 centrifuges, and a handheld particle accelerator.
Well, 2 centrifuges.
Oh,
Two.
Shit. Just one up quick.
With each new position, Holtzman's screams of ecstasy grew louder and louder. Egon remained icy quiet, until he finally pulled out and, with the slightest gasp, released his ectoplasm towards Holtzman, who dexterously caught it in a petri dish, sealed it, labeled it, and cradled the sample of man seed against her breast like a prized possession. Just as they were catching their breath, the other 3 Ghostbusters climbed the stairs to the firehouse. "P.U.," complained Yates. "Light a candle, why don't you? It smells like someone had sex in 246 different positions in here." Patty fixed the breaker, lighting the lab and revealing Egon and Holtzman's glistening, sweat-slick, naked forms. "Hey, don't hog all the interdimensional man," said Aaron Gilbert. It's uncertain how she knew Egon was from another dimension, but she's pretty smart, so everyone just kind of let it slide. All 4 women were pawing at Egon, and he was retreating backwards. "Ladies, please, you're all too much for me." Then his eyes flashed with an idea. A terrible, wonderful idea. His eyes locked on Holtzman. "If you widen the focus aperture on the device that brought me here," he started, "and then set the buffers to purge in sync with the feedback, that could work," she finished. In moments they had modified the device. It was humming with power, but this time the tear was more than a slit. It enlarged as the device began to make sounds like panting and moaning. Screws vibrated loose, then suddenly the whole device burst. Now there wasn't just a tear in space, but a melding, and the 2 universes became one. When the dust settled, there was one fire hall, filled with 8 Ghostbusters. Not a word was said. None needed to be. They were 2 halves of one whole, being snapped back together by a magnetism powerful beyond measure. An orgy like a containment breach burst forth. They fucked in every combination. Except Patty and Winston, since he reminded her too much of her uncle, so they always stayed on opposite sides of the orgy and never made direct eye contact. But everyone else took their turns. Hours turned to days, days to a week. The orgy only petered out as one by one their hearts gave out. Peter Venkman was the last to fall. His laid-back style and sardonic wit had allowed him to pace himself best. But as his heart finally gave out, he said, "This is not how I expected to go, but I have no regrets. Except maybe being voiced by Garfield in the animated series. That was weird." Then all was still. The Ghostbusters were no more. For all of 5 minutes, until each of their spectral forms raised from their used-up physical forms.
Yes!
And their ghostly forms, equally sexy, but eternal and untiring, picked up where they had left off. They say they're all still at it to this day. The end.
Wow.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Damn.
That's a surprisingly uplifting ending.
Everyone died.
All the
That didn't
characters
stop
dying,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like sexual Valhalla. Or more sexual Valhalla.
Exactly. Yeah, I think there's some sex in Valhalla
Oh,
already.
yeah, I'm sure.
Valhalla.
Oh.
We're going to move right into our second story of the day, and that's going to be a story presented to us by Velvet Wells.
Thank you. This is my first erotic creation that I've shared with others on purpose. It is C-3PO and the Electroshock Troopers. Takes place at 36 ABY after the Battle of Yavin at Cloud City. 3PO walks into Yereth Bespin's casino and interrupts Lando's game of Dejarik by asking, "I can express 7 million forms of communication. Why can I not tell R2 that I want to join him in the badly designed stimulation machine room?" Lando meets 3PO's golden stare and says nothing. Lando had sweet-talked Vader, Sidious, Crumb. He never thought he'd be here, convincing a droid to visit the sex dungeon it wanted to attend. Lando stood up and sighed. "You might want to buckle up, 3PO. I need you to help me with a piece of diplomacy." Lando and 3PO left the casino. They both knew Lando was lying about the diplomatic mission. This lie was just bothersome enough to be scintillating. 3PO had discovered this side of himself recently. He liked being bothered some, especially by R2. He knew R2's history beyond the rebellion. R2 had a wide array of holographic messages he had never displayed to humans, droids showing their full schematics. 3PO hadn't been able to imagine showing his parts on purpose, let alone looking at others, but now? It was that last encounter with that ferocious tentacled beast that changed 3PO. Having his arm ripped off, feeling the wiring stretch too thin and break, feeling the minute shocks as electricity jumped a new chasm between his shoulder socket and the once arm was horrifying and now thrilling. 3PO purposefully refitted Omer's red arm to be rewired incorrectly, so it would get unexpected shocks at random times. It put the pep back in his step, but he wanted more. While the encounter changed him, 3PO didn't know how to change his protocols. He just knew that he wanted to share this with his friend. Lando knew about the droid dungeon and processing Vein 5. He had it built for R2 after Darth Sidious's forces were defeated. R2 wanted a private place to blow off some steam. It surprised Lando, but he never had reason to question the droid's intention. They arrived at the dungeon door, half of 3PO's height. It had a single astromech phrase written across it, Fist Order. Lando's... Lando stopped to give 3PO advice. If you needed, R2 told me the safe word is beep boop boop beep beep boop whistle. 3PO replied, "Thank you, Master Lando." And Lando smiled and was about to say something but changed his mind and shook his head, walking away. 3PO stood at the door for some time. He told himself there was a diplomatic mission just on the other side of it. That was a lie, of course. He felt a little naughty. His programming didn't like it at all. 3PO got on his hands and knees and entered the room before his programming could stop him. This made him feel naughtier. The ceiling was as low as the door. 3PO's body was awash in multicolored lights, flashing on and off from droid units around the room. He realized R2 was projecting something on his face. Before 3PO had a chance to admonish his friend, R2 let out a series of high-pitched trills. "Oh, R2, 3PO said happily. "I am happy to see you too." 3PO crawled through the crowded room, packed with droids checking out each other's units. Some droids were in various states of disassembly. Other units played with the exposed parts, or greased them, or swapped parts with them. No one seemed upset. 3PO wasn't into it, but he also wasn't fussed when grease got on him. He had changed. A BB-6G unit had its head off and emitted an arc of electricity between its head and neck joint. 3PO only noticed as his leg passed through the arc. He was very not fussed by this turn of events. 3PO let his leg linger a little too long. The BB-6G unit whistled and beeped at him. He finally made his way to R2. Face to face, they happily whispered sweet astromech to each other. 3PO was about to tell R2 everything about the beast and his arm, but a very sharp jolt of electricity caused his left elbow to buckle. He looked down and saw R2's electric prod steadily in place. 3PO yelped in 3 of his 7 million languages all at once. The pain was bearable. Quite bearable. R2, boop boop! 3PO lowered his right elbow, his position now in worship at R2's wheels. R2, boop boop! Again, and waited. The electric prod was pressed against the back of 3PO's head. 3PO raised his head a little and said, "Oh, yes," and a slight jolt was released. 3PO quivered. How had R2 known? Another jolt struck him. Something and another about him. Is the voltage increasing? Definitely increasing in speed and strength. 3PO loved it. He realized electric jolts were now striking different parts of his body. Other droids had joined in, exploring his limbs, torso, joints with electricity. He felt like ball lightning was about to explode from within. 3PO's system was overclocked. He didn't care about the melting wires. He finally understood that human declaration about never feeling more alive. His golden eyes flickered erratically and his torso reverberated. Then everything went dark. 3PO awoke with R2 standing over him. The other droids were gone. Beep boop beep, whistled R2. Can I show you my schematics later, 3PO said groggily but happily. Beep beep, whoop, beep, 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 beep. R2 replied. Exciting is hardly the word I would use. Master R2. 3PO muttered. He was bothered some. He found the droid he was looking for.
Aw.
Aw, that's a great ending.
One more story left to hear, and that story is going to be brought to us by Claire.
All right, so this story brought to us by an archive of our own. It's called Changes, Part 6. Of how many parts? I don't know. A lot. By user Squeaky Chew Toy. And it is a Jurassic Park Ellie/Alan erotica story. So I chose this because I went into this just arbitrarily deciding that I wanted to do dino porn.
Sure, yeah.
But then I found the story, and the author's note literally started off with "Happy Valentine's Day."
Oh my god!
So I thought absolutely, and then the description said, when they find a room full of raptor restraints, Ellie, who has recently been turned into a raptor,
Oh god.
Oh no!
learns how freeing it can feel to submit to the one you love.
Oh boy!
Prep yourselves.
I can't.
No, you can't. Just go with me here. Okay. So I cannot stress enough that one of them is a human and one of them is a velociraptor. Just keep that in your head. Another mile down the overgrown road, they came upon an animal paddock, one that looked eerily familiar to them. It was similar in design to the old velociraptor pen they had seen on their first visit to Nublar, but the concrete walls topped with long-dead electric fencing were overgrown with thick vegetation. The gate on one of these walls was wide open. The first thing they noticed upon looking inside were the 5 sets of raptor restraints on one side of the room, built onto a large metal frame. One set was broken. What do you think they used this place for? Alan asked. And do we even want to know? Ellie didn't want to think about that now. Whether they were used for simple medical examinations or something much more unethical. She was more interested in what they could be used for. Her reptilian sex drive had taken over again, hormones flooding her head and genitals. She had one desire right now: mate. Her cloaca tingled with arousal at the thought of her lover tying her here and using her for his pleasure. Alan was always the submissive one in their relationship, and being restrained and dominated relaxed him. Maybe she could find some release from her homesick feelings by letting him dominate her for once. She was an animal now. She was ready to give into it. She would be Alan's pet. What do you think? What do you think happened here? Alan asked as he looked around. Couldn't have been anything good. Ellie chirred distantly in reply, her amorous desires overriding any curiosity she might have about this place at the moment.
I don't know why I expected her to be able to talk.
Oh, wait for it, Paul. Yes, she could see the appeal of it, of handing over all control of one's body to the one person they trusted the most. Or people, as in Alan's case, he sometimes let Ian dom him too. Being tied here and dominated would bring her the release she so desperately needed. She was now sure of it. She stepped up to one of the intact restraints and placed her snout in the specially designed muzzle cage attached to the metal frame. Hey, there's another door over here, Alan called from a corner. Round doorknob, so they did learn a few things from the old park. He turned the knob and pulled, but the door wouldn't open. Locked, he sighed. Wait, you could pick this. You have claws. You can... Ellie sang out in needful lust. Alan turned to see his reptilian lover waiting for him on the restraint frame, ready to be strapped in and fucked.
Oh.
Right here? Alan asked, surprised. I don't know if I like this. The broken restraints. I can't help but think that something awful happened in here. Ellie sang again, more insistently, lining up her arms and legs with the ergonomically molded steel rests bolted into the frame. The metal felt cold and smooth against her scales. You want me to strap you in? Alan asked her gently. You sure about this? Ellie nodded and chirred. I'm your pet now. Treat me like it, she thought.
Oh.
You dirty dinosaur! You know I can't possibly resist you now, don't you? He asked her as he placed a hand on her scaly flank. Oh, Ellie, I'll take you any way you'll let me, my precious alpha. He closed the sliding door and hooked the latch in place, locking out the rest of the world. Alan carefully fastened the leather straps onto Ellie's scaly limbs.
I know I'm laughing so hard about locking the door, but I guess if you're about to fuck a raptor, you're gonna take any precaution just in case.
Hey man, you need privacy for this. Alan carefully fastened the leather straps onto Ellie's scaly limbs. Wait, he said, his hand lingering in hesitation on the neck strap. I'll need a kiss first, my love. Obediently, Ellie removed her face from the muzzle cage and let him kiss her passionately on the mouth. Their tongues mingled for a brief sweet moment. Alan ran his fingers through her silky feathers. Oh, my beautiful beast, he whispered passionately as their lips parted. But if anyone else dares call you a beast, I'll rip their fucking lungs out.
Oh God.
It's my favorite line in the whole thing. They kissed again, long and deep. Ellie turned and placed her snout back into the muzzle cage. She purred as Alan fastened the straps behind her neck. He fastened the final strap, one that held her tail vertically above her, and then knelt behind her, admiring her shapely reptilian hindquarters. His fingers traced the scaly lips of her cloaca, his gentle and teasing touch driving her crazy with the desire for more stimulation. She sang out needfully. Alan chuckled. You're at my mercy now, love, remember? Ellie snorted and warbled in frustrated anticipation. She shivered and thrust against him frantically, and he pulled away teasingly to watch her squirm. Not yet, he purred. You get off when I decide to let you, my dirty little dinosaur. He resumed, cock-teasing her into a frenzy. Sing to me, my pet, he commanded. I'm an animal, Ellie thought as she sang out obediently in another cry of lust. I'm your animal. Fuck me, use me, make me your dino whore. He plunged his cock into her slippery depths, moaning as he entered her. Ellie shivered with pleasure under him, sighing with anticipation as his girth filled her. Though not as long or thick as his arm, his still massive 12 inches still hit all the right spots. His fuzzy mammalian balls slapped softly against her scaly reptilian slit with each thrust. Intensifying the pleasure, she shivered with delight at this gentle reminder of their now zoophilic relationship. Perhaps she did like being a raptor, so long as she was Alan's raptor. Alan's hands ruffled the feathers on her back, his fingers raking roughly through them from the base of her tail to her shoulder. Ellie shivered under him at the slight pinprick pain of a few feathers being unintentionally plucked from her skin, but she welcomed and savored every sensation, knowing that Alan would never truly hurt her. Say my name, he whispered passionately. Ellie made a few awkward squawks, trying to speak. Come on, Alan coaxed her gently. You know who you belong to. I want to hear you say it. Alan, she cried, comforted and thrilled at his declaration of ownership over her. Alan! Oh, Alan! She sounded almost human for an instant.
Oh my God.
Good girl, Alan praised her. That's right. You're my dinosaur. All mine. I've always been yours, my love, she longed to remind him. The end. That is heavily edited, but that's the gist.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
Holy fuck.
That was really hot, actually.
Yikes.
What was it for you? Was it the fuzzy mammalian balls, or
Oh.
Yeah. Also, he fucks her so hard, she's almost a human.
Oh my god. I just like, wow, I don't know, thinking about her awake eyes, like, I'm sick.
Oh my god.
her slippery depths?
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to read a fan fiction from B Movie, which I would like to say I absolutely did not write. I want to be very clear about that. I did not write this piece of literature. And also, if it ever sounds like I'm making an aside, it's actually just brackets within the story that this person has written out.
Okay.
Very important little sides. And also, we dropped the word cunt in this story quite a bit, so I'm just going to change that to carnation, just for the team. You know what I mean? Just to help you out, because it's a bit much at moments. And here we go. It's titled Chapter 1. I checked, there are no other chapters. Chapter 1, Barry learns to fuck. So here we go. Barry learns to fuck.
Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be any more chapters, because where do you go from there?
Well, you'll see by the end of it why I doubt there could ever be a second chapter.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. It was a sunny November day in New York City in Central Park, where Barry B. Burton, the main bee homie in Jerry Seinfeld's Bee Movie, lives with his bee friends. This is a verbatim. I'm going to read this verbatim. This is so good. We find Barry flying around the park looking for flowers to fuck and hot bee bitches to stick his penis into. When his friend Adam Flayman, voiced by Matthew Broderick, very important for you to know that, flew up to him in a shock. "Yo, bee-man," said Adam, "I got something to tell you." "What's that?" said Barry. "I learned how to have sex with a human." "What the fuck, Barry?" "What the fuck? You were always the pussy bee when I was into the human world. You were always like, no, you stupid carnation. Not hang- Don't hang with humans. And look at me now. I'm married to Vanessa. Vanessa is voiced by whoever the fuck played Bridget Jones, but she's ugly as hell, and luckily Vanessa is a lot hotter. This is it. Well, I've changed now, said Adam. I was flying through Walmart when I ran into this hot babe who looked like Jessica Alba. She said, "You're hot for a bee," and she put me in her pussy. Made me fly up there and jack off, and now she's pregnant with a bee person baby. Whoa, said Barry. I gotta try that with Vanessa right now. So without saying goodbye, Barry flew up to Vanessa's apartment in New York. Hey, could you have at least said goodbye, you stupid carnation bee? Yelled Adam. When a big bee in black grabbed him, oh fuck, help, yelled Adam. Barry sang as he flew. I'm gonna fly through the door and go up that carnation and jack off my penis and come in her carnation, and I'm happy I get to fuck tonight.
Did you say he was singing that?
Yes, he was singing that. He smiled like Julia Roberts as he flew to his apartment.
Oh my god.
Where the hot, brown-haired chick was sitting watching Dr. Phil. You need to change your life, Dr. Phil yelled. You stupid motherfuckers. You need to stop bitching on TV and grow the fuck up. By the way, Robin's real hot, and you stupid fucks can't have her. Fuck! And
That's
he
right.
threw up on stage because someone in the audience was wearing an Obama t-shirt.
Oh my god.
Hey, Vanessa, said the Barry, trying to put on his sexy Antonio Banderas Puss in Boots voice, but then he yelled out, "Holy fuck!" Vanessa was naked and fingering herself to the tall, buff, bald, mustached man on her screen when she looked at, which is Dr. Phil, by the way, that's a side.
Right.
In case you didn't catch that. When she looked at Barry and said, "Hey, Vanessa," said Barry, grinning from the anticipation of flying up her pussy. "I see you're pantsless now." "Yeah," said Vanessa. "Well, can I fly up your carnation?" said Barry. "Why?" "Well, you see, Adam told me that he had sex by flying up some hot thing's pussy and jacking off. So now I'm gonna try it with you, whether you like it or not."
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. But Vanessa was all too happy to let Barry fly up her carnation.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Don't worry, we're almost there.
The climax.
This is one of my favorite parts coming up. Here we go. "Here I come," yelled Barry. And this is in asterisks. It says, "Insert Flight of the Bumblebee music here." Barry flew up into the house and got ready for the dive maneuver. Then he took off at full speed while Vanessa spread her hot, meaty gams.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, Barry went flying into her hole and went right up it. "Ah," yelled Vanessa in pleasure. "Barry, go deeper." "But I just got in here, you selfish bitch," thought Barry as he flew deeper until he reached her sweet spot. Then, "Here goes nothing," said Barry as he took off his black bee pants and took out his his black and yellow striped penis. It was quite large, not compared to a human, of course, but big for a bee. He then thought of what a hot babe he was literally inside and started rubbing his yellow and black shaft. "Oi, oi, 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 oi," screamed Barry as he reached climax. And came yellow semen all in Vanessa's sweet spot. "Ah," yelled Vanessa in climax. "Oh baby, you're going to get me pregnant, sexy bee man." Barry smiled in satisfaction. He was going to make a new species, but then he heard Vanessa say something that sent a chill down his spine. "Hey Brandon, long time no see. Wanna fuck?" "No!" screamed Barry in horror. Not only was she cheating on him, but she was cheating on him with a human who was about to stick his monster-sized cock up Vanessa's pussy where Barry was. To be continued.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
To be.
How's he gonna get out of that one?
Yeah, to be continued, absolutely.
Wow.
Oh,
That was a roller coaster.
It really is. I think it's one of my favorite pieces because you can tell it was written in jest and at the same time very much not.
One thing that I noticed doing an impression of Austin Powers and other characters is that if they're not doing catchphrases, a lot of his characters kind of sound alike. So I am going to do, instead of Austin Powers' voice, I'm going to do Sean Connery voicing Austin Powers.
Okay.
That's the compromise we've all made with me being on this podcast, guys. So I hope we're ready.
I'm ready.
Absolutely, yeah. Take it away whenever you are good to go.
All right. The year was 1999. While the world was worrying for the impending disaster of Y2K, British intelligence was preoccupied with an even more immediate threat. Deep in the secret catacombs of Big Ben, is the British Army's investigation torture room. The walls are covered in grime and stench. A once proud man is chained against the wall with electrical shockers attached to his gargantuan nipples. Hour 26 of an interrogation, and Austin Powers still has no answers. Where is the hidden bomb? He asks himself. You'll never guess where I hid the bomb, will ye, Austin Powers?
Fat bastard, you know that you've hidden the bomb in Austingham Palace. And you know that tonight it's the Queen's 100th Halloween party, which she cannot cancel. What do I have to do to get you to tell me?
I'll tell you, if you let me go.
I can't do that. You're London's #1 criminal.
Listen, I know my reputation, and I know I've let people down before. I've tried my whole life, and I failed 100 times out of 100. Let me redeem myself.
Okay, you lousy Scot, the worst people in the entire world. I'll let you try,
said Austin Powers. Austin released the shackles. Seeing the marks they left on Fat Bastard's wrists made Austin feel sorry for Fat Bastard for the first time. Released, Fat Bastard fell into Austin Powers' arms. Fat Bastard weighs so much that his weight falling on you would kill most men. But Austin Powers is strong. The bomb! Fat Bastard wheezed. It's under the Queen's throne, right in the middle of the party.
Well, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry I have to put you back in the shackles.
But I've changed. I want to do good in the world.
Sorry, there's a party with my name on it, and Mrs. Kensington is looking shagadelic in her bikini costume. Judo chop!
And with that, Austin delivered a devastating judo chop to Fat Bastard, knocking him to the ground.
You'll have to remember, Austin boasted. In the United Kingdom, Austin Powers is #1.
Well, then you'll have to remember, Fat Bastard is always ready for #2.
Uh-oh.
Fat Bastard then swept the legs of Austin Powers, knocking him to the ground.
Oh, no.
Naked and sweating, Fat Bastard squatted and shat 2 liters of liquid diarrhea into Austin Powers' mouth.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
Why?
Liquid diarrhea.
Well, as opposed to.
After all that was done, Austin Powers died. Fat Bastard, wanting to be good.
Oh my.
Fat Bastard, wanting to be good, knew that he had to stop the bomb from killing everyone. He also knew that killing Austin Powers was an automatic death sentence. He knew the only way to get out of this was to fake his own death and assume the identity of Austin Powers. Using his nimble teeth, Fat Bastard chewed off all of Austin Powers' skin and spat it into the corner. Fully whole, except for the holes where the eyes and mouth go. And also the holes for the asshole and penis hole. Fat Bastard then stretched Austin Powers' skin over his whole body. After he was done, Fat Bastard then ripped the fingernails off, because it was more comfortable without them. Looks like I have a party to crash, Fat Bastard said to himself as he was kicking the skinless body of Austin Powers down the toilet. Fat Bastard, on the streets, couldn't believe all the attention he was getting as he was walking. It's Austin Powers! The girls would all scream. Usually, Fat Bastard would run away from all those girls. But that wasn't an option for Fat Bastard, because he was comedically overweight. The girls were touching him all over his body. Is this what it's like to be sexy? Thought Fat Bastard. Unfortunately, Fat Bastard's penis fell out of the asshole in the Austin Powers skin suit, making it seem like he had two penises. I have Austin Powers' penis in my hand, screamed one of the girls. No, I have Austin Powers' penis in my hand, screamed another girl. Wait, screamed a police officer. What is going on? Thinking fast, Fat Bastard had an answer. Austin Powers has two penises, yelled Fat Bastard. Everyone was satisfied with that answer. Fat Bastard then came 9 times all over the girls, who were between the ages of 18 and 20.
Good.
Fat Bastard wasn't used to being in a room excited by his entrance, but walking into Buckingham Palace, even amongst the best British celebrities in the world, everyone was excited to see Austin Powers. Hello! It's nice to see you, Austin, said David Beckham. Wow! It's Austin Powers! Can I get an autograph? Yelled Hugh Grant. All the big celebrities were there. Victoria Beckham, David Beckham, and others were there too. Suddenly, he heard a voice that he had only heard on the radio. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Spinning around, Fat Bastard was face to face with the daughter of King George himself, the Queen of England. I don't know if I should bow or shake hands, said Fat Bastard, his Scottish upbringing leaving him unprepared for such a meeting. Just sing me a verse from my favorite song. Having listened to the radio and it being 1999, Fat Bastard knew that the Queen of England's current favorite song was Freak on a Leash by Korn.
Oh, okay. That's what that was.
I think it was pretty clear what that was. Unfortunately, the Austin Powers suit was starting to show some wear and tear, especially around the mouth, as Fat Bastard ate a lot of the girls' pussies on the street earlier.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
As Fat Bastard sang Korn, bits of Austin Powers' teeth flew into the Queen of England's wine glass. Luckily, only Fat Bastard noticed, as the rest of the party was so impressed by Fat Bastard's rap scanning. Fat Bastard tried to stop her, but the Queen drank from the glass. Austin Powers, however, was so sexy that just having bits of his smashed teeth in a woman's mouth can cause her to have a female mouth orgasm. Whoa! Screamed the Queen as her tits bounced all over the place. Hugh Grant went to grab the Queen to keep her from falling over, but her mouth orgasm exposed her excessively receding gum line, which really turned on Hugh Grant because that's what he's secretly into. Hugh Grant's penis was suddenly so engorged that it burst through the button fly of his jeans, shooting his load 20 feet across the room at 120 miles per hour, right into David Beckham's leg, tearing his ACL.
Oh no! What the sports?
Oh, right, the bomb, thought Fat Bastard. Excuse me, Queen. Could I look at your throne for a minute? Are you kidding? Asked the Queen. I haven't been allowed to go near the throne since Tony Blair became Prime Minister. Ugh, sighed Fat Bastard. The only way to get in would be to get the key that's around Tony Blair's neck. Where's Tony Blair then? Asked Fat Bastard. In the candy room, eating crumpets and licking lollipops. I'm on it, said Fat Bastard. Jumping into the candy room, Fat Bastard confronted Tony Blair, who was dressed as a hat for Halloween.
Well. Look what the cat dragged in. I know why you're here. You want this key. How did you know? Everyone wants this key. It opens the throne, and whoever sits on the throne is the King of England. Forever! It must be hard, having something that everyone wants. But deep down, you know it has nothing to do with you. It's just the fake skin we all wear. You really see me, Austin Powers. And you really see me, said Fat Bastard, his nose poking through one of the eye sockets in the half-ripping skin suit. With both men now having made a non-verbal agreement for sex, Fat Bastard spun Tony Blair around and pulled his pants and underwear down. Fat Bastard laughed at how stupid Tony Blair's ass looked. Fat Bastard spat on his fingers and shoved them up Tony Blair's ass. All 10 of them. Now that he was warmed up and his ass was all loose, it was time to fuck. Fat Bastard took his hard dick, which was now tearing through Austin Powers' belly button, shoved it as hard as he could up Tony Blair's ass, hitting his G-spot so hard that Tony Blair's tongue turned purple like a Chow Chow dog. A lot of British celebrities were watching, including the original host of Whose Line Is It Anyways? They would throw candy when something good would happen. At one point, Fat Bastard was fucking so well that his entire balls went into Tony Blair's ass. Eventually, Fat Bastard noticed that Tony Blair looked bored. "What's wrong?" asked Fat Bastard. "My ass feels great, but what about my vagina?" complained Tony Blair. "You don't have a vagina. You have a dick." "Look again." Fat Bastard looked again and saw that there was a perfectly good vagina right smack dab in the middle of Tony Blair's dick. "If only you had 2 dicks," Tony Blair sighed wistfully. "But I do," said Fat Bastard in his actual Fat Bastard voice by accident. "Oh my god, it's you! It's Fat Bastard!" Knowing the gig was up, Fat Bastard knew what he had to do. He shoved Austin Powers' dick right into Tony Blair's vagina. Even though it was basically just a skin balloon at this point, the fact that it was Austin Powers' cock still made it hard as hell. A real hog of a dick that still looks great. The double cock ass vagina combo felt so good, it caused Tony Blair to have an orgasm so big that his heart stopped. Luckily, after he died, it was revealed that Tony Blair was just made of snakes.
Oh.
Everyone realized that he was Fat Bastard now. Wasting no time, Fat Bastard grabbed the key off of one of the snakes and ran towards the throne. The only man in his way was Robbie Williams, which Fat Bastard took care of quickly when he shot him with a gun.
Oh my god.
Fat Bastard unlocked the throne and sat on it, deactivating the bomb and making himself the King of England. Everyone froze in their tracks and looked towards the Queen. "He's in charge now! What is your first command?" asked both Fergie and Mr. Bean. "I've got 4 words for you. Get in my belly!" Everyone laughed. The end.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yay!
Oh my god, that was... What a ride!
That was really upsetting.
Oh, that was deeply disturbing.
It's Halloween!
I loved it. I loved it.
Everyone's talking a big game about how they're so excited and ready for Halloween. And then they object to the idea of a dick poking through someone's belly button and fucking Tony Blair up the ass.
That brings us to our final story today, brought to us by Kat Letwin.
Hello. So this is a little piece called It Happened to Me. I didn't find it anywhere because I wrote it.
Did you write it on purpose, grammatically incorrect?
No, I didn't, and I regret that now. But I did write it on purpose. That's what counts. And also just a little bit of background. I grew up writing fan fiction. Like, I had an account on fanfiction.net. And not gonna lie, especially during like pandemic and quarantine, I've got an account on AO3. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I for sure still publish fan fiction now, especially. Yep. So I'm big into fandom. I grew up on this stuff. I grew up writing stories and doing like RPs with friends of mine over the internet. So it does mean a lot to me. So as much as I make fun of it, it's also like a genuinely cherished thing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to some fucking. Dear, the pen is mightier. You won't believe this, but it really did happen to me. I was back at Hogwarts for my 8th year, which is for sure a thing because that means I'm 18 years old in this story. Please note, from here on in, names have been changed to protect the not so innocent. So let's just call him the boy who jizzed. Now, I've had my fair share of crushes and kisses and denim-forward dry humps. Winnie Jeasley, for example. Hermione Granger. Another girl. But let's just say what happened in the restricted section is rated G for ghost, but also R for adult. I was in the library researching nifflers for my Care of Magical Creatures class. They're tiny little things that really burrow in there and get the job done, so I immediately felt a sort of specific kinship. I was on my 3rd roll of parchment when the gates to the restricted section had swung open. Never being one to pass up a mystery, I finished the chapter on the origin of nifflers. Turns out they're from Norway, Stavanger specifically. They're used on oil rigs now. 15 minutes later, I realized the restricted section gates were still open, as if they were beckoning to me, calling me. Adventure awaits, I said under my breath, because after you face down the most evil wizard in recorded history, it's all a bit downhill from there, isn't it? It's just like, like you peak at 17, where do you go, what do you do? Like carrying the weight of my emotional baggage, I stepped through the gates. And there she was, the ghost of haberdashery, I have to use her real name, Rowena Ravenclaw. She was resplendent in ectoplasmic robes, a coy smile on her transparent face. You're here alone, yes? She asked. You're the smart one, you tell me, I said, because I cannot read social cues. She laughed, lifting a hand to her face as though I couldn't still see the smile behind it. You're so funny, she said. And I have to tell you, I immediately got hard. Like, I know I'm many things. Brave, courageous, not afraid of things, very brave, but funny? That was always a purview of Juan Weasley. I was always so busy either living in isolation or saving the known world that I never got to learn any jokes like, knock, knock, who's there? The terrifying abyss of the future. The terrifying abyss of the future. Who? You'll see. Rowena, sorry, Miss Ravenclaw, beckoned me further into the restricted section, and as she did, that ectoplasmic robe fell to the floor and disappeared, leaving only this juicy duo of cantaloupes moving before me. Not literally, I'm describing her bum, and it was very nice. She turned around, and her breasts were like her eyes, suddenly on me. Make me feel like I'm alive, she said, and her hands went through my robes. Now, I may be brave, but that doesn't mean I work well under pressure, down there. My dick, I mean. Oh, she said. It's okay, it's not you, I said. Okay, she said. Yeah, I said. Yeah, no, that's very normal, she said. I tried to cup her breasts with my hands, but they just sailed right through. I'm sorry, it's my first time. Oh, seriously? No, I mean, not my first time. I mean, like with a ghost, so... Oh, okay, well, why don't I just... And she disappeared. And somehow so did my pants. I mean that in the British sense. Also, my trousers were gone. Do you like that? I heard echoing around the restricted section. Sorry? I said. Do you like that? What I'm doing right now? Sorry, what are you doing right now? I'm S-ing your D. Great turn of phrase. Yeah, no, it's just, great, super, just really, really into it. Are you sure? Because you're really quite soft. No, I'm loving this. I mean, I didn't want to be rude, you know? Touch me, she said. I had this feeling I physically couldn't, but still I tried. I went toward her, you know, bikini area, and just started, like, you know? I can't feel a thing. It was now or never. Neither can I. Ms. Ravenclaw sighed, leaned against a bookshelf, and pulled out a non-corporeal cigarette. I'm sorry, she said. No, I'm sorry. No, you needn't be sorry. Ugh. She exhaled a cloud of vapor. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, I said, settling down in the stacks beside her. You're very pretty. They don't tell you this when you become a ghost. There was another puff of smoke. I remember the old ghosts here at Hogwarts, before it was even Hogwarts. They never told me it would be like this. She looked at me sideways. But I guess that's a good thing. You're only 17. I'm 18, actually. 8th year. Oh, that's a thing? It's a thing. Well... So we got that going for us. She stubbed out her cigarette on nothing. Best to get back to your house, then. Gryffindor, right? Yeah. You know, in my house, you have to answer a new riddle every day to get into the common room. Want to hear what we have for tomorrow? Sure. Where do you go when you peak at 17? I don't know. Where? She kissed me gently on the forehead, and I couldn't feel it. Anywhere you like, she said, then winked. Better than a knock-knock joke, at any rate. Then she disappeared. Then my pants and trousers reappeared. And when I got back to the Gryffindor common room, I have to say, I'd never wanked so hard to a piece of advice in my entire life.
Yay!
Yay!
That was beautiful.
So wonderful. That was, really, really something.
I like that you didn't drop the pants for, lack of a better word, but just, she disappeared and my pants returned.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, as a theater practitioner, I'm used to, like,
Chekhov's
really tracking
gun.
my props. And that goes... Exactly. Yeah, the pants were the real Chekhov's gun, and the real Chekhov's gun were the friends we made along the way.